Greetings, Inquisitors. Thank you for clicking this holocron. Today I'm here with a special guest, Philosopher. He's been playing Marvel Strike Force for quite some time, and he's come over now to the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes universe. So, welcome to the channel.
Thank you. A real pleasure to be here.
All right. So first, let's talk about you. Who are you, and what are your accomplishments in Marvel? How far along in the game are you? Just let the viewers know where you're at.
Sure. So in Marvel Strike Force, I'm one of the most advanced players in the game. To give you a sense of what I'm up to, in Marvel Strike Force, there's something called Dark Dimension, which is, think of it like a persistent conquest where, so this just came out, Dark Dimension 5, and there are 3 people in the world who completed it, and I came in third. And there's the rest, there's a number of other people who are trying, and this is how far they've gotten so far. It's sort of like if you could only bring in Relic 9 characters to defeat a persistent version of Conquest. You have your Sith team, your Jedi team, your Scoundrel team, whatever. And then at the end, you get Lord Vader or some other exciting character. That's what I did, but I was the 3rd person in the world to complete this. I was the 4th on Dark Dimension 4. I'm newer to the game than a lot of the other large accounts, and I am one of the folks who I don't have any. I'm known for not having bloat on my account, so I don't have one of the very large ones. I joke that my account didn't do leg day, so the bottom part of my account, all the Jawas and Gamorrean guards aren't built up, even though in in Marvel Strike Force, there's no incentive not to do that. But to give you a sense, in terms of my top characters, I'm one of the top, let's see, 13th in the game in terms of what's the strongest at the top end of my account. So I've definitely advanced very far there, and I'm a content creator also in Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah, and you've got quite a large channel, some almost 13,000 subscribers or something, right?
Yeah, 19 now. So
19, holy cow. Wow, so a pretty big channel over there. So you're an endgame player in Marvel Strike Force, and you decide to start playing Galaxy of Heroes. What motivated you to come over to our game?
Well, the first time was because Marvel Strike Force was down. I mean, one thing that Swgoh players don't realize how good they have it is that Galaxy Heroes is not full of bugs. It doesn't crash all the time. MSF is constantly crashing and buggy. And so there was a day when literally I couldn't play MSF. I was streaming. I used to stream every night. I still stream pretty often. And my folks in my stream were like, hey, you should try Galaxy Heroes. And so I went and gave it a try. And I liked it. And so I bought the Hyperdrive bundle and, kept going from there. And there's a lot of things I really loved about the community.
Well, what brought you to the Darth Loquitur channel?
So I'm a very competitive player. You probably can get that sense from how I approach Marvel Strike Force. I'm very driven, hardcore kind of player. And I was eager to get ahead. And I started watching different content creator videos and so forth. And I was looking for the theory crafters. I was looking for the people who are more analytics oriented. And as I was getting a start in the game, and what I really like about your channel and your community is that it's very analytical, theory crafting sort of community, but it is also oriented towards newer and mid-game players. A lot of the analytics or the theory crafters are sitting there focused on high-end end game Grand Arena stuff, for example, and you had, I think, a really thoughtful analytical approach to how to start this game.
Nice. Yeah. I think so too. So that brought you over to the channel. That's nice. And you've been part of our Discord, and that's been fun having you around. So let's take a look at what you've built in Galaxy of Heroes then.
All right. So this is my Galaxy Heroes account with 2.9.
And you've been doing the same thing on your Galaxy of Heroes account then. You've been tailoring your galactic power and kind of carefully building to manage your rank in your galactic power through Grand Arenas, right?
Yeah, now it's interesting because I made some mistakes along the way. Okay, so the first thing that I did when I started playing the game and I bought the hyperdrive bundles. I actually watched another content creator's video who was like, "Oh, go for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and just rush this character." And I originally wasn't planning to do that. I started rushing Darth Revan first, which is sort of like your gladiator strategy. And then I wasn't planning to get Malik. I'm like, okay, I'll do Darth Revan and then pivot to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. And I really, what I didn't realize at the time the importance of mods. I wasn't focused on mods at the time. I mean, I put some effort into them, and I spent a lot of time in your Discord trying to learn it. It was very complicated at first for me, even though I was a very experienced player from another game. And then I kind of learned the value of building wider and controlling my galactic power, which I do much more in this game than I do in MSF, because here there's at least until soon, right? This may change soon, but there's been a strong incentive to control your galactic power. So you'll see a lot of Relic Zero characters on my account, for example, purposely for that purpose.
Okay. Now, is there something like mods in Marvel Strike Force, or is it just more materials that you add to your character to keep building up their stars and like red stars and stuff like that?
Yeah, so there is something called ISO 8. I'm just going to switch back for a minute to show you. And what happened was, before I was a content creator or serious player in the game, there was a big debate about mods. They had originally came up with a mod-based system, and there was an uproar amongst the content creators and the players, I guess, at that time, who didn't want that. And so it morphed into this thing called ISO 8, which is basically just another type of gear that, gives you stats. So, and then you choose a class. So you can choose, healer or fortifier or whatever. So it's basically just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes, and then, very flat stat increases. So everyone who has ISO at a certain point will have the same health, damage, etc. My symbiote Spider-Man is exactly the same as everyone else. Now, I don't think there's only a couple other players in the game who have him this high, but nonetheless, like if you have the gear and the whatever, they're all the same. With Galaxy of Heroes, what I obviously had to learn, and what makes the game much more challenging and interesting from a theory crafting perspective, is that, of course, my SLKR is different, right, than anyone else's.
Yeah, it's pure differentiation.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So you and I got to talking the other day about these upcoming Grand Arena changes, and you were saying making some comparisons to Marvel Strike Force. And do you feel like with this change to Grand Arena, like it's becoming, let's say, more like Marvel Strike Force, or less, or how do you see the comparison now in the new system?
I've noticed, first of all, just generally with the game, that I feel like Swgoh is copying some of the monetization strategies of Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I love about Swgoh is that I can create a team. I can go and create my CLS team, and this team works like everywhere. It works in territory battles and territory wars and Grand Arena, and everywhere. You could use it as your arena team if you wanted to. And that is not how Marvel Strike Force is. In Marvel Strike Force, teams have all of these mode-specific modifiers, where they're war defense, war offense, raids, arena. So you have to build different teams for everything. So you build your team, and then this team might only be useful for Grand Arena defense or something, and it just means you have to spend a lot more resources to get anything. You have to build more teams, and I do think the Omicrons in particular are part of that. I think another thing Marvel Strike Force really does is they force you to build wide with a lot of requirements. So that Dark Dimension I told you, I have to have full teams of city characters, of global characters, of cosmic characters. For raids, I have to have full teams of mystic characters and and so forth, mutant characters. Well, I think that Conquest is trying to do that. And what I see with these recent changes, to me, is it seems to me like they're taking away the incentive that we used to have in Galaxy of Heroes, or we still have for a short period of time, to keep our galactic power as tightly controlled as I had been.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and now it's just, letting everybody off the leash, and you can basically do what you want with galactic power, or at least it looks like it. So once you get your initial placement, then galactic power, let's say, doesn't seem like it's going to matter anymore. So that
Right. Like it used to be, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what it used to be is, to me, what I saw, that one thing I thought was really interesting and special about this game is that a free to play player could sit at 2 million galactic power and just sit there and, like, build up resources and very carefully time him going over that hump to the next division, and only compete, and compete only against people in that tight band. And now that's not going to happen, right? Because now at a certain point, you're going to reach people, if you're very skilled, you're going to reach people who have more galactic power than you, or more galactic legends, or whatever else.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like that's going to be the case. Of course, it's hard to get a great feeling from just reading it. But so, is there a system like that in Marvel then? That's the same way with, let's say, the squad arena strategy, or grand arena, or something like that, where you get rewards based on your performance.
So it's interesting. Marvel Strike Force does not have anything as cool as Grand Arena. They're copying it, and they're coming up with something they're literally calling an Grand Tournament, which they're coming out with like early next year, because Grand Arena is so cool and fun. I think it's the best game mode in this game, in Galaxy Heroes. They do have the equivalent of Squad Arena, and it's worse because only one person gets the top payout a day.
Oh,
So I'm fifth. Oh yeah, everyone has the same payout. So no, it stinks, and it ends up being very much there's a collusion thing, but it ultimately comes down to who's attacking in 19, exactly at 19 hours, right? So if you're taking your kid to their soccer game, or you're at on a conference call for work, at this exact moment, you're screwed. So, um, now there is, so the rating is more important in Marvel Strike Force, in terms of rewards, I would say, but it's a different kind of rating. It's, instead of rating a big boss, you're essentially just there's just various nodes of enemies that you are taking out. And some of those, of course, are restricted. You see here, this requires certain teams. It's more of what I said, previously, forcing you to build out teams that are otherwise subpar.
interesting. Okay, so going back to your Galaxy of Heroes account now, you've built, I believe you said you went toward SLKR, and then you
Correct.
started building a better, broader base. So, in
Right.
terms of overall galactic power, it looks like you're sitting just below 3 million, waiting for that, four fleets to flesh itself out, so you can kind of pop up into that chromium division. So you're kind of right on the cusp of going there. What kind of changes?
That was my idea. That was my plan. I've been sitting here right under this, leaving some room for zetas and other random increases for some time now.
Yeah. So what's your plan then when when these changes hit?
So here's my plan. So I'll just show you what I've been doing. Is I knew I needed 4 fleets. Now I have I have my negotiator fleet. I got that all set, and then I have the finalizer, you might imagine, because of SLKR.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had been, farming up the separatist stuff. I had it all. I have them all ready to go, and I was going to wait to pierce this barrier until I got Hyena Bomber to 6 stars. But now I think I'm just going to push all of this. I have tons of gear. I haven't been gearing characters up. I'm going to bring these characters to G12, and build up a separatist fleet. And I have some get to currency. So this will be a, fully functional fleet. And I'll probably even bring up, like rebels maybe, or something, since I have the Millennium, I have a rebel team here, just do something here, just have a 4th-ish fleet. Because the GP doesn't matter. If I'm wrong about, if this fleet doesn't cut it, it doesn't really hurt me at this point to have the GP. I have, tons of mats saved or whatever. And then I'm probably going to, I've been waiting on the character side. One thing I've been waiting to do is I'm waiting for some Zeta mats so I can push the gas event here. I need at least like 2 or 3 Zetas on my droids for the last tier. I've already beaten the others, and I'm hopefully I get those in time, and I'll push those up, and then I probably are going to push up some of these other characters to where I would need them for Galactic Legend Unlock. So I have Kenobi at Relic 2. I'll bring him to Relic 8. I'll bring Shakti to Relic 7 because that sort of thing. Because it might as well. I mean, there's no downside anymore.
Yeah, and especially characters that are going to go to Relic 5 or higher then become available for the Rancor raid right away too. So that's pretty motivational. So you're going to finish out Gas. Where do you go from there? You think you're going to build another Galactic Legend after that?
Yeah, so I'm on the journey. If I go to the journey guide, I basically have the journey characters at this point, other than, well, not okay, but I don't have Jedi Training Ray or Bando. This I could have. I just haven't. I was trying to control my GP. But yeah, I figured Gas, and then when I go to the Galactic Legends, my thought process I think was JMK, because I already have Kenobi at G13, and I already have I already have Shakti and Grandmaster Yoda at G13. So I thought, this is he's top of the meta, and I have Cat. And then, then the question would be, where do I go after that? And I was thinking either C or Jedi Master Luke is sort of my next ones on the list.
Nice. All right. So then in terms of both of the games overall, which I don't want to put you on the spot with this, but are you having as much fun in Galaxy Heroes as you have been in Marvel Strike Force?
I'm probably having more fun right now and in Galaxy Heroes, and there's a couple of reasons why. One reason is I'm not at the top of the mountaintop here. Okay, so in other words, I think with these games, it's obvious, I think, a little bit of particularly Marvel Strike Force was whaling out. If you're whaling out in a game, even if you do it intelligently and, whatever, you get to a certain, in terms of having some limits, I should say, or not just whaling and everything, you get to a certain point where there's less challenges to the game. I think here there's more challenges for me because there's just a higher road for me to climb. But I also think this game is more complex, and there's more rewards for being a theory crafter in this game than there is in Marvel Strike Force. So Marvel Strike Force, it's an easier game to pick up, but I don't think it rewards theory crafting as much. And I do also like that this game it has less to do, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm actually citing that as a strength of Galaxy of Heroes. In other words, I know that there are folks who complain that there's too much to do in this game, but actually it's like a small fraction of what you have to do every day in Marvel Strike Force, and that's why it doesn't seep up much of my time. But it's the stuff that I do and that I focus on here is fun. I like Grand Arena. That's my favorite part of the game. But even Conquest, I enjoy. I'm still in normal. Okay, that's probably why, and I have a good roster for it. But there's not like lots of chores that I have to do in this game all the time.
That's actually one of the things that attracted me to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I was playing a very grindy game at the time, and it just started taking up way too much time. They made some changes, and you had to constantly be on doing stuff. It felt like, and like you said, this game is a little bit of housekeeping. You get in there, you can play a lot some days, but then there's other days where you just get in and you do like a 20-minute routine and collect all your stuff and you're done. So it's less overhead, and I enjoy that also about the game.
Yeah, I love that, and I will just say the depth of the theory crafting and the customization of characters is great, and the fact that there's so many characters and so much content after so many years, I think is a really wonderful thing about it.
Yeah, and it's really a fantastic time for Star Wars fans in general, because whether or not you like the fact that Disney has taken over the franchise, they're going crazy with it. They're putting out all kinds of content over the next few years. And so it seems to me like there's always going to be new content and new characters coming for the game. So, when I started my channel, that was kind of my thought process. Like, with all of the Star Wars content that's available, this game just got a whole bunch of new legs. They announced like 10 different shows that they're coming out with and all that stuff. So it definitely
Yeah.
seems like it has some time to go. So in general, I would say I've seen a lot of streamers coming out pretty negatively around the changes that have happened this year. The rationalization of characters, taking away defense penetration, things like that, ignoring defense went away, and a lot of people are still sore over those changes. Like you said, we're my alt account, we're somewhere in the middle. It doesn't affect us quite as much as it does other players. But overall, from what you've seen out of Marvel Strike Force and this game, do you think it's heading in the right direction?
I do. In a larger sense. In other words, I really didn't have any problem with the nerfs. Okay, obviously I wasn't impacted. I didn't create a account and mod specifically to do an off meta counter or something. But I thought that really didn't bother me. I think Conquest is actually fun, but I am concerned. The things that I don't like about the game, I think about the changes. I don't like the game mode specific stuff because I liked how much bang for our buck we got in terms of investment here. I loved that about this game, that the characters were useful everywhere and had the abilities work the same everywhere. And I am concerned about the Grand Arena changes. Not for me, because I wail out on the games a little bit, more than a little bit, depending on your perspective. But I'm a little concerned about the impact in the game. I mean, I'm happy to not do Squad Arena anymore because I didn't think there was any fun in that game mode at all. And I love Grand Arena. But I thought it was cool the way in which the management, I find pleasure and fun in the management part of the game, which I know you do as well. From watching your videos, that's what I find so interesting about your analysis. And I think there was some fun to me about sitting here and managing my 3.1 GP and, carefully tracking, all my upgrades. And, you see all these unactivated there's unactivated characters with shards, all like tons of them in my account. And I don't know, to me, that was part of the fun of this. And I'm a little bit sad that that's going to go and that I might be facing people with 2 million more galactic power than me at some point.
Yeah, so I felt the same way for a minute, right? Because I thought, man, that is one of the things that I think differentiates like my account from other accounts is the control of galactic power, so that at any given galactic power, I'm able to put a more effective team onto the Grand Arena field. But then I started thinking, so the challenge has changed, and now it's how good of a team you can build for the minimum resources, right? So if each Grand Arena team that you have to put, and it goes 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So the divisions are just every division you go up is another 4 teams, 2 on defense and 2 on offense. So for me, the new challenge is if I have to fill 9 spots, 7 spots, however many they are, how can I fill those spots with a 95,000 galactic power team that acts like a 130,000 galactic power team? So for me, the galactic power, like the management of the account GP, for sure will shift. But I think what I'm going to be looking to now is to try to figure out like the most effective teams for the gear that you spend on them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like what can work well at low gear and punch up, that sort of thing. I will tell you one thing I am very happy about with the changes is the feats not mattering for Grand Arena. So you can see I was 37th last time. The difference between me and the guys in 7th or 8th or something was purely feats because I was not going to build up Rogue One and some of these characters, and do that stuff. And I do think there was an element that if you outmod everyone and you really control your GP, you can there's a cheese element to it that will be gone. I mean, in other words, that I do think is a positive, having that cheese element gone from Grand Arena. because now, right, you're going to keep rising up and rising up. And like you said, it's really going to be the punch up factor, I would say, for your account. In other words, can you punch, can let's say it ends up being 4 million GP, my account in a month or whatever, once I use all these stored resources. Um, okay, or whatever it is, can I beat a 5 million or 6 million account, right?
Yeah, now I've talked a little bit about what I consider the idea of the Galactic Legends stratification, where it's hard to beat an account with two or three Galactic Legends if you only have one. There's
Right.
some strategy that comes into play, and certainly how you play your Grand Arenas will go into that. Uh, but there definitely becomes this kind of like one Galactic Legend accounts are going to play against each other, and two GL accounts are going to play against each other. Do you see it kind of working out that way too, or do you think that there'll be something that kind of breaks that down?
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that clean. And here's what I'll say. I originally rushed a Galactic Legend as one of those noobs who had like a Galactic Legend and very little else. I did have Darth Revan and Bastila Shan Fallen BSF, because my thought process at the time was, well, I'm building up Palpatine anyway for this, so I might as well build up, that there was gonna be some synergy. I'm like, I'll have a Sith team and I'll have a like a Palpatine-led Sith team with Darth Revan and Bastila Shan Fallen on it, and I'll have this. But I was routinely losing, like really losing bad to, frankly, I'm sure they were free to play accounts that were just super GAC oriented. Now, it was losing in GAC. I was doing well in Squad Arena, obviously, but
Yeah, for sure.
losing in Grand Arena because these guys would have like 8 strong teams that were modded to the hilt, and I had essentially one or two. And I really, even if I split them up, it just wasn't enough to compete with them. But I think once you've built out your account, like in other words, my account at this point, sure, there's other stuff I could build, but I have enough breadth for my account that at this point, sure, there are a couple other characters that I haven't built that I probably could and would add something. Certainly, Jedi Knight Luke could be one, who's not a Galactic Legend, but for the most part, at this stage of the game, it's going to be mostly about Galactic Legends and fleets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Now, with regard to the Omicron system, you were talking about how that kind of narrows things down, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that they've actually done something interesting with Omicrons, because generally they've given the Omicrons to characters that let's say had some deficiencies. Like Qui
Right.
Gon Jinn was not an impressive character, but now he's going to be an almost a must have to build a team that's going to be borderline galactic legend. So certainly like gas tier or Malik style character now from Qui Gon Jinn just with that Omicron. So I think it's interesting, and for somebody like myself who's just focused on Grand Arena,
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't be using Omicrons on anything except the Grand Arena characters until I get a couple of them going, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe invest in something for territory wars or something like that. But yeah, if you were in a guild that was just extremely territory war focused, I know there's guilds out there at the high end that are, and they're going to be expecting people to put the Omicrons onto the territory war stuff. So I don't know. I don't think it's bad in differentiation. They'll monetize the Omicrons somehow for sure, and make
Yeah.
Omicron packs that you can buy so people will spend money on it. But but yeah, I actually don't mind the way that they did that, bringing a couple of these, let's say, not so shiny characters
Mm-hmm.
into the fold, and with teams that I mean, all you have to do, basically, you have to give up your Kenobi because you probably want somebody on that team to taunt, and then put some Galactic Republic Jedi there, and Kiadi Mundi if you have him. He's been a very big prize in the game, very hard to get. But once you get
Mm-hmm.
him, he's just kind of like not that shiny. And that Omicron is, going to make him just insane. So Qui Gon Jinn plus Kiade Mundi is going to be like Galactic Legends style team now. So I think it's interesting. It gives you some routes to go other than just building your Galactic Legends. So
Yeah, I do think that's right. I do like how it gives you options, and it doesn't really constrain somebody like me
yeah,
as much, right? Because I have more resources by definition. I just, what worries me is like you're gonna build up your Qui-Gon Jinn team. Now, the thing about him or Rose Tico or Phasmas, these are all like Galactic Legend requirements. So I think they're just like everything else. They do this with Marvel Strike Force too. The first taste is always a sweet. Okay, so using a term from people joke about drug dealers. I mean, in other words, they're making the first part of it palatable.
yeah,
But then the new character gets released, and instead of me building Cat, where I use her in every game mode, well, now this character is going to be, have Omicrons. Like all the power will come from Omicrons, and it'll be Grand Arena only. And so this character you're pouring all these resources in doesn't help you in C-Pit as much, doesn't really help you in Territories Wars as much, and so on and so forth. That's what my concern is. You're going to pour all these resources into Boba Fett's Scion of Django or whatever, and that only gets you a character that is super in one game mode. That's the difference.
yeah. For me, it's easy. I just won't build Scion. I won't build that version of Boba until I need
Yeah.
him. Due to some things in my own life and the last round of Conquest, I just could not dedicate the resources that were needed to get through that. So I actually didn't red box the last Conquest, so I won't get Django in the first set of 3 runs. And it's nice because I can look at that and go, that's okay. If he was a Grand Arena character, I'd be real sad. I'd be like, dang it, I need him. But
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I will just tell you, by the way, one thing I do like about Galaxy Heroes is there's fewer characters released, and they tend to get farmable fairly quickly. And then once they're accelerated, they're very easy. It's like there's a real catch up there that there isn't. Okay, in Marvel Strike Force. So that is I mean, there is like it's not that bad to be. I'm multiple. Obviously, you can tell from my account, I'm not, cutting edge, right? I'm not there with the newest character. I don't have my Maul team, Darth Vader or Lord Vader Maul team. It doesn't really bother me, right?
yeah.
In this game.
All right, so I got one last very important question for you as a content creator. Are you thinking about making Swgoh content at some point?
I don't know. I have thought about it, but I will just say that a couple things. One thing is that I don't really do. It's not a. I know, and I'm sure it's the same. I know it's the same for you. This is not a money making thing for me, where it is for some people. It's like they're living, right? That's all they do. I know.
Yeah.
Arnold is like that. Mobile Gamer is like that. For me, this is something I do for fun on the side. And I really pride myself in MSF of only saying things that I know. I'm like not into speculation. I'm very careful, and I just don't know if my Galaxy Heroes, knowledge is great enough, to be at the level I would want it to be, to make that content. But also, one thing I enjoy about Galaxy Heroes is I'm not bothered all the time about content. So I get one downside of having 19,000 subscribers or 11,000 people in my Discord is I get messages constantly all day about do this, do that. I need this. Can you help me with my teams? Do this. It's overwhelming. And I don't know if I need that from 2 separate games at this point. We'll see.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, if you have ideas for content, just shoot them over to me, and maybe we can do some more collabs like this in the future.
I'd be happy to. And I will just tell you, I do. One thing that I really like about your content is it seems to me like a real service to the community, helping newer players, helping players who are struggling with concepts and teaching people. I think that is that's what content creation should be, and that's really at its highest level what it is. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and I learned a lot from yourself and from some of the other people on your Discord who who really have done a nice job of teaching me and other newer players about certain concepts and features in the game.
Hey, thanks. I really appreciate that. That's perfect. I mean, that's what we're going for. Is we're trying to be a good resource for people to start. And efficiency really is the whole key, and I don't think that changes even with this new Grand Arena change. I think the way to build a good account is still it's the same formula. Pick a team, focus on it, get it to the point where you're happy with that it's finished and it's doing its job, and pick your projects like that and spend your resources wisely. So we'll keep putting that content out going forward.
Absolutely. I think that's the key in any hero collector kind of game. Efficient investment is how you beat the devs at their own game. They're trying to trap you to running out of resources to spend money. You minimize that as much as possible by being super efficient and smart about your investments.
All right. Hey, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate you joining in, and good luck on your account building.
Thank you.